everyone. I'm Dr. Rizwana, working as a professor of physics. Today we are going to discuss in detail about fiber optics and of course optical fiber communication and what is the general basics behind this fiber optic communication system. Now, what is fiber optics? Okay, so here in fiber optics, it is nothing but a branch of science or technology. It is a branch of science or technology where we study about communication of information by total internal reflection through guiding mediums such as fiber material. So here we are going to study about communication of information with negligible loss over long distances in guiding channel, and that guiding channel is nothing but a fiber material. So it's a technology where we study in detail about this fiber optic communication. Now, so as we are saying, this fiber optics, it is nothing but optical fiber communication system. So we have to study in detail about optical fibers. So what are optical fibers? I think nowadays everywhere, instead of copper cable communication transmission, we are making use of optical fiber communication system. I think where we will be seeing the bunches of like bundles of wires that are used for communication. So we must have seen for cable connection, even on the roads when they dig, we can see bundles of wires coming out. So all these are optical fibers. So everywhere normal copper cable communication is being replaced by optical fiber communication. Why we have to go for optical fiber communication? So obviously it has got many advantages compared to normal copper cable communication. You can see in this figure, as you can see in this figure, there are bundles of wires of optical fibers that are used for communication. So why we have to go for this communication is, first of all, it will transmit data over long distances with negligible loss. It will transfer data over longer distances with negligible loss. And second thing is, it has got higher bandwidth. What do you mean by higher bandwidth? What is bandwidth? Bandwidth is a series of frequency signals. So when we say that it has got higher bandwidth, it means that simultaneously at a time it can send large number of independent optical signals. So around 15,000 independent signals they can be sent through optical fiber communication. Suppose if you take your normal copper cable communication, in normal copper cable communication, here bandwidth, in case of copper cable communication, our bandwidth, it is around 500 megahertz. Whereas if you go for optical fiber communication, so here bandwidth is, it is around 10 to the power of 5 gigahertz. So you just imagine, so just imagine difference between their bandwidth. So if you take normal copper cable communication, so here frequency, the range of frequency signals is 500 megahertz. Whereas if you go for optical fiber communication, the bandwidth range is 10 to the power of 5 gigahertz. It means that we can send large number of independent signals simultaneously. That is the main property of these optical fibers. So they have got higher bandwidth. And then next is, these optical fibers, they are immune to electromagnetic interference. So they are immune to electromagnetic interference. Now, why they are immune to electromagnetic interference? So first, for that we should know we should know in detail about those two terms that are used in optical fibers. Now first, here through optical fibers, what are optical fibers? As I told you, they are used in communication. So these are cables, optical fiber cables. And if you see these optical fiber cables, through these cables we can send any information. We can send any information. That information, it can be in analog form or digital form. It can be in any form. Suppose analog form means I can send my voice also through optical fibers. and even we can send figures, objects, even they are used in television. So in all these analog data we can make use of these optical fiber cables. But main thing is, all that information, when we are making them pass through optical fibers, we have to convert them in optical form. So it allows information only in optical form. So through optical fiber cables we can send information only in light form or optical form. So we have to arrange for some device, okay, which can convert our information in any form, whether it is in analog form or digital form. We have to convert it into light form. For that purpose we'll make use of either laser or LED sources which will convert this data into the light form. And now this information in light form or optical form, it is passed through optical fiber cables, and these optical fiber cables, they are made up of fiber material. So what is the channel through which we are sending our information? We are sending our information through fiber medium. So what are fibers? Fibers are generally, they are insulators, they are dielectric materials. To name some examples, they are glass, plastic, silica, polymers, etc. So all these are insulators, so they can be safely used to send information. So here, what is the meaning of these optical fibers? These are optical fibers. Usually they are cylindrical waveguide systems which are made up of fiber materials, and through which we can send information, but that information, it has to be in light form, and it can be traveled over long distances with negligible loss. That is nothing but optical fiber communication. Now as we were discussing about, see, first thing we said, they have less loss, they can travel over long distances, they have higher bandwidth, and next we are saying that they are immune to electromagnetic interference. So why they are what do you mean by immune to electromagnetic interference? Because suppose if we have many power lines going side by side, there are chances of their signals getting interfered. Okay, so then we'll have this problem of crosstalk generations or some noise. That problem won't be there with optical fibers. Why? Because the medium that we are using, so generally they don't go for interference, because these signals, optical signals, they have less chances of undergoing interference when they are made to pass through these optical fibers. So, and this as you can see, of course, here one day-to-day example is they are used for illumination, and of course they are used in bundles to carry images. And of course these optical fibers, they are used in medicine also. I think you must have heard about endoscope. In endoscope, there also will make use of bundles of optical fibers, and these optical fibers, they'll carry images of our system, our body system, and that can be viewed directly onto the screen. So like these optical fibers, because of their many advantages, they are used for many applications. So these are some of the advantages. Now we are going to study in detail about what is the construction of these optical fibers and what is the principle behind these optical fibers. So today in this video we are going to study in detail about construction and principle of optical fibers. So moving to our next slide. So we are going to discuss about construction of an optical fiber. Now if you take any optical fiber cable, it consists of, it mainly consists of three parts. What are those three parts? Core, cladding and outer jacket. Now if you see this figure carefully, in this figure we try to separately show each part, okay, separately from each other. So coming to this first part, this is our first part, and what is this first part? It is called as core. Okay, so we have inner core, right? And this inner core, it is surrounded by cladding. There is one more layer. That layer, it is called as cladding. And this cladding, finally it is surrounded by one more layer. This layer, it is called as outer jacket. And usually we'll send information through core medium. So this is our optical fiber cable. If you take any optical fiber cable, it consists of three parts: core, cladding, and third one is coating or outer jacket. So, and as I am telling you, our information, it will be passed only inside the core medium. Now we are going to study in detail about these three parts. Now coming to core, if you take core, so first of all, as I told you, what is the material we'll be using in order to make optical fiber? Material used is fiber. Fiber is nothing but dielectric material. So what is core? What is the shape of the core? Core is a cylindrical rod which is made up of dielectric material. Now what type of dielectric material we'll make use of? It can be a glass, it can be plastic, and it can be polymer, and so on. So we can make use of such dielectric materials to make core medium. And what is the shape of this particular cable? It is cylindrical rod, and as I told you, our information, it is transmitted mainly through the core of the fiber. So information, it is transmitted only through the core of the fiber. And if you take glass fiber, glass optical fiber, in that glass optical fiber, your core material, it is made up of glass. Generally it is made up of, in most of the fibers, it is made up of glass. But if you take plastic fibers, in that core, it is made up of plastic. And then one important thing is, as you can see, core, it is made up of fiber medium, and if you have a medium, it has got some refractive index, and core refractive index, it is represented by N1. So what is N1? N1 represents refractive index of core medium. And then next is what is the dimension of the core? Now what you will observe here is core dimension is very, very small. So it is around 10 to 100 micrometer. Micro means 1 micrometer is 10 to the power of minus 6 meters. So just imagine the size of cores. Dimension of core is very, very small, 10 to 100 micrometer. If you take single mode optical fibers, what are single mode optical fibers? We'll discuss in our next sessions. And here in that it will be around 10 to 5 to 10 micrometers. So dimension of core is very, very small, and through that smaller dimension core will send our information. Okay, so as we have seen in our previous slide, we have our core, and through this core we'll send our information, which is in the form of light. And dimension of core is very, very small. And what is the dimension? It is in micrometers, so it is 10 to 100 micrometers. And of course it is made up of dielectric material. Mostly it is made up of glass. So this is about our core. Now this core, it is again surrounded by one more layer. And what is that layer? That layer, it is called as cladding. Now we are going to discuss in detail about cladding. Now coming to cladding, as we know that cylindrical core is surrounded by cladding layer, and this cladding layer, again, it is made up of glass or plastic. Suppose if you take all glass fibers, in all glass fibers, typical glass fibers, if you take both core and cladding, they are made up of glass. Whereas if you take all plastic fibers, then core and cladding, they are made up of plastic. Okay, so here suppose we have taken all glass fibers. So in all glass fibers, core I made it with glass, and cladding is also made with glass. So both core and cladding, they are made up of fiber material. And here also cladding, it has got some refractive index, and that refractive index, it is defined by N2. So N1 represents refractive index of core, whereas N2 represents refractive index of cladding. And most important point, what we have to understand here is refractive index of cladding is slightly less than refractive index of core. So this is very, very important point. So when we are making optical fibers, always we have to maintain refractive index of cladding slightly less than refractive index of core. Suppose if refractive index of cladding is 1.51, then we can make refractive index of core to be 1.54. So that difference will be very, very small. Now you may wonder that if both core and cladding, they are made up of glass, then how to maintain change in their refractive index? So for that, what we'll do, we'll add impurities or dopants. So what we'll do, we'll add impurities or dopants like boron, germanium, phosphorus, etc. And what is the property of these impurities? They will try to change or modify the refractive index of a medium. So we'll add these impurities, okay, in such a way that there will be difference in their refractive index profile, even though core and cladding are made up of same material. Now coming to dimension of cladding, so little bit its diameter is larger than core. Our core diameter, it is around 10 to 100 micrometer, whereas our cladding diameter, it is 100 to 200 micrometer. So core surrounded by cladding. Refractive index of core is N1, refractive index of cladding is N2, and always we have to maintain refractive index of core slightly higher than cladding. For that we have to add some impurities like boron, germanium, phosphorus in order to maintain change in their refractive index. And as we have seen, dimension of core and cladding, it is very small, it comes in micrometer. Then coming to our third part. So we have discussed about cladding, we have discussed about core. Now we have to discuss about third part, which is nothing but outer jacket. So coming to our last part of optical fiber, outer jacket. So if you see outer jacket, your core and cladding, they are covered by strong black cover. It is very strong black cover. That cover, it is called as outer jacket. And what is the role played by outer jacket? Outer jacket, first thing is it acts as protective skin. So what is the role played by outer jacket? It acts as protective skin. So core and cladding, they are surrounded by black layer. And what is the material that is used to make outer jacket? Usually we'll make use of polyurethane, black polyurethane. So this material, it is used to make outer jacket, and it will be a thick outer jacket. And as I'm telling you, what is the role? First role played by outer jacket is it will act as protective skin. Now what do you mean by protective skin? Suppose I have taken all glass fibers, where are both core and cladding, they are made up of glass materials, and we know that glass is very brittle. And for what purpose we'll make use of optical fibers? We'll make use of optical fibers for communication. So they are used as cables, and we know that we roughly handle cables. So what do you mean by roughly handling cables? We roll them, we bend them, we stretch them, we'll pull them. Okay, so during this rough handling, what happens? There is a possibility of inside core and cladding, which is made up of glass, to get damaged. So we have to make sure that even though if we roughly handle this optical fiber cables, inside core and cladding should not get damaged. That's why we'll go for thick layer of black polyurethane outer jacket. So and also it provides protection from outer environment, moisture and all those things. And what is the second benefit of this outer jacket? Second benefit is it gives mechanical strength to the optical fiber. So because delicate material like glass and plastic we are using in order to make core and cladding, in order to give it mechanical strength, we'll be making use of this outer jacket. So what is the role played by outer jacket? Not only it provides protective skin, and also it will give mechanical strength to a fiber. So this is about construction of an optical fiber. So what we have learned till now, if you take any optical fiber cable, it consists of three parts: core, cladding, outer jacket. Core, which is made up of what is the shape of this optical fiber? It is a cylindrical waveguide system, and here we'll send our information only through the core medium, and that information, it has to be in optical form, and core dimension is very small, and through core only information will be transmitted. And refractive index of core, it is represented by N1. Then this core, it is surrounded by cladding, whose diameter is some 100 to 200 micrometer, and refractive index of cladding, it is represented by N2, and always N1, which is core refractive index, it should be slightly greater than cladding refractive index, which is N2. For that purpose, we'll make use of impurities. And then finally we have a third part, which is outer jacket, black polyurethane outer jacket, which will provide protection as well as mechanical strength to the optical fiber, even though core and cladding, they are made up of brittle materials like glass. So this is about the construction. Now to move further, our next topic is what is the principle of optical fiber. Now we have seen, when we send our signals through optical fiber, we'll come across two problems. First one is dimension of core is very, very small. So now already I told you that our information, it is in optical form, light form. Suppose I am sending my voice through optical fibers. Now my voice, first it has to be converted into optical form. So that is my voice information. Now my voice information, when it is converted to optical form, then in that optical form information, it consists of many light signals or many light rays. So any information, it consists of many light rays. And when you are sending your information through optical fibers, you have to make sure that information which consists of many light rays, all those light rays, first of all, they should enter core. Now why I am saying that they should enter core? Because dimension of core is very, very small. So that's why here we'll say that launching of light or launching of information into the optical fiber. Why launching? Because we have to make sure that information which is made up of many light rays, all those light rays, they have to enter core, and core dimension is very, very small. When dimension is very, very small, it will be difficult to send or to make all light rays enter the core medium. This is first target which we have to understand. And second one is, when you make all those light rays enter core, you have to make sure that all those light rays, they should travel only through the core medium. No light ray should enter cladding. Now if you see this figure, this is our core whose refractive index is N1. It is surrounded by cladding whose refractive index is N2, and here we have taken one light ray. As you can see, this light ray, it is transmitted only through the core medium. It is launched at one end and it is traveling through the core medium and it is coming out from the other end. What happens if part of this light ray goes into cladding? Once your light ray goes into cladding, it means that your information is lost. So if your light ray gets refracted into cladding, then information will be lost. So you have to make sure that no light rays enter cladding. Light rays only pass through the core medium. So first of all, light which is launched at one end of optical fiber, it should propagate through the core medium. And as you can see, what is happening here now, this particular boundary or interface, this boundary or interface, it is called as core cladding interface. So this is called as core cladding interface. Now once your light ray goes and strikes that core cladding interface, as I told you, light, it should not go into cladding. Now what is happening here? Light, it is getting reflected back into the core medium. Again it is touching the interface here. Okay, then again what is happening? Again it is getting reflected back into the same medium. So here light is traveling through the core medium by total internal reflection. And where this total internal reflection is taking place? At the core cladding interface. You have to make sure that light ray, it should not enter cladding. This is nothing but our principle of optical fiber. So what is the principle of optical fiber? Light launched at one end of optical fiber, it should enter core, that is first target. And second thing is, it should travel only through the core medium. And how it will travel through core medium? By suffering total internal reflection at core cladding interface without any light ray getting refracted into cladding. So when light travels through total internal reflection, our information as it is, it will come out from the other end of optical fiber with negligible loss. So what is the principle of optical fiber? Principle is, our information, it will be transmitted through core medium by total internal reflection at core cladding interface. Now we'll see what we have to do in order to make our light undergo total internal reflection at core cladding interface. Now, so what are the chances of getting total internal? Once you send your light inside the core medium, what are the chances for total internal reflection? Now for total internal reflection to occur, there are two conditions which has to be satisfied. What is the first condition? Coming to first condition, which I have already discussed, always you have to maintain refractive index of core slightly greater than refractive index of cladding. So N1 should be slightly greater than N2. I think I told you one. Suppose if core refractive index is 1.54, then you have to make sure cladding refractive index is 1.51, or you can also go for some 1.48 or so. So the difference will be very, very small. Okay, and as I already told you, if your core and cladding, both of them, if they are made up of same material, how to maintain that change in their refractive index? By adding some impurities or dopants. Okay, so here core refractive index should be slightly greater than cladding. So that is the first condition which we have to maintain for total internal reflection. Now coming to second important condition. What is the second important condition? Angle of incidence at core cladding interface must be greater than critical angle theta C. You must have heard about critical angle theta C. In our next slide, we'll see how to get critical angle theta C for a given optical fiber. But for the time being, what we are saying here is, for total internal reflection to occur, when your light ray goes and strikes core cladding interface, it should strike that interface at angle, and that angle, it should be greater than critical angle. Then only your light ray will undergo total internal reflection inside the core medium. Now if you see this figure, there are three cases given in this figure. So this is our first case. This is our so this is our first case, and this one is our second case, and this is our third case. Okay, now the shaded part is our core, whose refractive index is N1, and this is surrounded by cladding, which is unshaded region, whose refractive index is N2. And what is this one? This is our boundary. Okay, so what is this boundary? It is core cladding interface or boundary which is separating core and cladding. Okay, now light has entered inside the core. I have taken one light, it has entered the core. So it is going and striking this interface, core cladding interface. And what is the angle of incidence? Angle of incidence is theta 1. Here angle of incidence is theta 1. And for that, what is this? This is normal to the interface. So this one is normal to the interface, and with respect to that normal, what is the angle of incidence at core cladding interface? Theta 1. And in this case, theta 1 is less than theta C. So when we have critical angle, in this case theta 1 is less than theta C. So what happens to that light if angle of incidence at core cladding interface is less than the critical angle? What is happening to that light? Light gets refracted into the cladding, it gets scattered into the cladding. And what is theta 2? Angle of refraction inside the cladding medium. So once your light goes into cladding, what will happen? It will get lost. So we have to make sure that our light, it should not enter cladding. So this condition is not suitable for total internal reflection. What is the second case? Now in our second case, our angle of incidence is equal to critical angle. So this is angle, it is equal to theta C. Then what happened to our light? As you can see, our light, it is going along the core cladding interface. So if you make your angle of incidence at core cladding interface equal to critical angle, what happened to that light? Light, it will move along the core cladding interface. So this is also not acceptable. What we have to do, we have to make our light come back or reflected back into the same medium. So for that comes our third case, where we make our angle of incidence greater than critical angle theta c. Once your angle of incidence is greater than critical angle theta c, now what is happening to that light? Light is getting reflected back into the core medium. So this gives rise to our total internal reflection. So what is the second important condition for total internal reflection? We have to maintain angle of incidence at core cladding interface greater than critical angle. So in order to have, first of all, what is the principle of optical fiber? Principle of optical fiber is total internal reflection, and where this total internal reflection occurs at core cladding interface. Your light ray should not go into cladding. It should get transmitted only through the core medium. For that, what are the two conditions we have to satisfy? First one is we have to maintain refractive index of core slightly greater than cladding, and second thing is our angle of incidence at core cladding interface should be greater than the critical angle. Now, how to get critical angle for a given optical fiber? So we are going to see this in our next session, how to get critical angle for a given optical fiber. So as you can see here, so if you see carefully here, in case of this, now we are trying to get, we have taken a optical fiber, we are trying to get critical angle for that optical fiber. I have taken one optical fiber where refractive index of core is N1 and refractive index of cladding is N2. Okay, so suppose this is our, if I take, so this is our core N1 and this is our cladding N2, and this is our normal to the interface. Okay, I made light go and strike core at angle equal to theta 1. Okay, suppose okay, now suppose that it has entered into the cladding where angle of refraction, so this angle of refraction is theta 2, right? So here there are two mediums. First medium is our core, this is our core where angle of incidence is theta 1, and then we have our cladding, and this cladding angle of refraction is N2. Okay, now we have two mediums. Now we'll make use of our simple law of refraction, or we can also say it's a law of like Snell's law. So if you take our first medium which has got refractive index N1 where angle of incidence is theta 1, so N1 sin theta 1 is equal to, what about the second medium? Refractive index of second medium, that is cladding, is N2, and what is the angle of refraction in the second medium? Theta 2. Okay, now suppose this angle of incidence theta 1, that is angle of incidence inside the core medium, is equal to critical angle. Let us suppose that our light ray, it strikes the core cladding interface at angle equal to critical angle. Then as we have discussed in our previous session, if theta 1 is equal to theta c, what is happening to the light? Light is moving along the core cladding interface. So for that, what happens? What is the angle of refraction? Here in this case, angle of refraction is theta 2, it is equal to 90 degrees. So theta 2, it is equal to 90 degrees. So when your light strikes the core cladding interface at critical angle, it will move along the interface. So that's why here theta 2, it is equal to 90 degrees. If I substitute theta 1 as theta c and theta 2 as 90 degrees in our expression, so N1 sin theta c is equal to N2 sin 90, then our sin theta c, it comes out to be N2 by N1, and our theta c, it is equal to sin inverse N2 by N1. This is our expression for critical angle. If you are given an optical fiber, how to find critical angle for a given optical fiber? If you know refractive index of cladding and if you know refractive index of core, so if you know refractive index of cladding and if you know refractive index of core, then we can find critical angle for a given optical fiber. And how it is given? Sin inverse of refractive index of cladding by refractive index of core. And once we know this critical angle, what we have to do? We have to launch our light into the core in such a way that when that light goes and strikes the core cladding interface, that angle of incidence should be greater than critical angle. Then only we'll have our total internal reflection. Now if you can see in this figure, in this beautiful figure, we are trying to see how light ray, it is traveling only inside the core medium and how it is suffering total internal reflection. Okay, so today in this video we have discussed about construction and principle of optical fiber, and also we have seen how this optical fiber communication is better than other communication. So we are going to stop our session here. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.